So it's going to be a whirlwind 20 minutes from me, I'm afraid, because I figured I'd try and get everything in there rather than omit anything. So if I'm talking too fast, tough. But I'm around after, so come and ask me questions. Right, so I'm Tim Rowe. I'm head of video and motion graphics for Worldwide Studios Europe. I head up the I head up video and motion graphics, which is part of the Creative Services Group. So just a little bit about the Creative Services Group and what we do. So can we have a show of hands first? Who's got PlayStations or Xboxes or anything like that? Good. So you all know what a games console is. Right, so development, we look after development. That means we help them with first-party content, second-party content, third-party content. A little bit about those. I'm guessing you probably don't know the differences between those. First party is anything that Sony develops and publishes. Second party, so your examples of those would be Drive Club, made by Evolution Studios. It would be Little Big Planet, made by Media Molecule. They're all companies owned by Sony. Second party, you're talking about games that Sony publish, but they're made by external developers. That's developers that Sony don't own. So you're talking for those, a good example is Quantic Dream, which is, they make Heavy Rain and Beyond. So they're exclusive titles to PlayStation, but not, you wouldn't get them anywhere on Xbox or anywhere else, and they're published by Sony. Third party is your Grand Theft Autos and all those things that are available on Xbox and PlayStation. So we support all those, mainly first party and second party. We're based across 4 sites, London, Liverpool, Cambridge and Runcorn. Basically, let's talk you through what services that we offer. So video motion graphics, that's the team that I head up. We see things from concept right through to delivery. So when a game comes in, the idea comes in, we will have to create a video, which then is put to the big old board of directors at Sony, and then they say, yeah, we like that idea, we're going to give it this much money. Then moving forward from that, we will then create what we call we usually call them a launch trailer. Now that trailer, as budgets become bigger, they restrict them. It's kind of, it plays against each other, but they restrict where they have the assets because they want to get maximum money back for them. So we'll have launch trailers, and the purpose of those launch trailers is to go out and show the world what this title's going to be, but it's also then as a benchmark for the guys making the game to what the game's going to look like. So we call them vertical slices. So we've just last year we did Shadow of the Beast, which we went to an external, we went out to an agency and asked them to produce a trailer which we directed and build it up to what would be an art bar that we're happy with, but it also has to act as a standalone trailer to put out to the world public, and then the team make the game to look like that. So our aim is to put that art bar as high as possible, so the team then create great games. And then through that, while we're helping with those guys doing cutscenes for in-games and all the other things that go along with that, we also then run the marketing campaign alongside that. So we create videos for all social media and YouTube, press events, massive press events. Last week we did Paris Games Week, and then we take it right through to TV trailers, cinema trailers, and thereafter. Music licensing, obviously all of those videos need music, so we have a music licensing team. That team also licenses music for the game. So has anyone heard of SingStar? Yeah, SingStar's a karaoke game made by the guys in London studio. A ridiculous amount of music has to get licensed and put onto that game for people to sing along to. We have a music composition team. Those guys, they write music. Now, there's a lot of, I'm going to talk about it later, but there's a lot of lines to comparisons between the game industry and the film industry. We have scores like films have scores. They're different in the fact that as a game gets more, if it gets more exciting, the music needs to change to reflect that. If it gets like a thriller, you would have that to anticipate that. So we then have an audio programming team. They're the closest we get to actual game designers within our team. So although we're the games industry, everything I'm speaking about here, apart from the audio programming team, is pretty much what you'd expect from film and production, for your understanding. The composers, they go out, they write the scores, they record Abbey Road, they record Air Studios. We've recorded over at Skywalker Ranch over in the States. We get the top artists, the budgets allow us to do that. Sound design, obviously for every video we need sound effects, for every game you need sound effects. So we have a team of people who go out, they do Foley sound records. Foley is where you actually, that would be Foley, sorry. That would be Foley. Anything where it's a real sound, not a manufactured sound, people walking along a cobbly path or whatever, they would actually get someone to go out there and make that noise. As well as that, we have a library of sounds. These all get put on the videos and the games and programmed in. I actually think the sound designer's got the best job because they see the video through to the final stage. We have a graphic design team. They look at the concepts of the games, the high concepts. So any marketing campaign that comes through, they will look at, you know, how are we going to sell this to the public? You know, what should it look like visually? So they do all the big billboards, all the banners. They do the game logos. They did in our team. They did recently. They did Beyond. They did Tearaway, which was Media Molecule. I think we did the Resistance pack art. We do the boxes. Basically, anywhere where you can think of a visual, anything that's visual and drawn. That's what the graphic design guys do. And then they also do UI, which is your user interfaces, when you go into a game, your menus that you scroll through, everything you can think of. So as you can see, you pull all those things together, and we have what is a great agency there. There's 50 members of the CSG. And to pull it all together, we have to have product delivery. Now, product delivery is project managers, producers. We have development producers who work on the game side of things, closer with the games. And we also have film and video producers who are you would draw a comparison between those and those two broadcasts. And we have project managers that oversee the whole thing, pull it all together. So I'm going to show you the show reel of what kind of work we get up to, probably clearer than my ramblings, and I'll carry on after that. Should have played that really at the start, shouldn't I? And then you wouldn't have had to have listened to me. Okay, so I think that kind of summarises what we do. So I was trying to think of how to put this into perspective where the games industry is currently at, because I know when I started 11 years ago, they give all the junior guys the game edits to do because it wasn't an art. It wasn't considered a creative thing to get in. Everyone wanted to be editing the film and the live footage. So I was looking on the internet. So my facts are from Google. So if they're wrong, apologies. Anyone got any idea how much the first Hobbit, cost to make? Shout out some numbers. Anyone? 100 million. Anyone else?
250 million.
We're talking dollars. 180 million. Okay. 180 million, you bang on. And in doing that, I've just given you away the answer to the next question. Has anyone got any idea how much PlayStation 4 Destiny cost to make? It was made at the end of last year. 140 million. So there's about 30, math's terrible. You get the idea. You get the idea. So Destiny was a team of 140 people. Now that doesn't, I would put money on it, that doesn't include any support services either. So you can push that 140 million up even higher. That wouldn't include my support on it or anyone else's. That's the dev team to make it. So I think, as you can see, that we're not that far behind Hollywood and the blockbusters now. We're making less games, but the games that we're making are a lot bigger and they need a lot more support, and we're a lot more in line with the practices of all those big films that we all love to go and watch. And then the other thing which I thought was an interesting fact was like Doctor Who, and correct me if I'm wrong on this is Google again, but I think it's about £1 million an episode. So a 12, how many series in Doctor Who? 12 episodes? in a series. So you're talking £12 million. So now that really puts into perspective of where the games industry sits at in the grand scheme of things. So, and then the other thing that really gets me excited about the games industry, especially working for Sony, and I'm guessing the guys in Microsoft have the same excitement that I get, is that we're on the edge of technology. I've been working on PlayStation VR for 2 years now. The guys develop it, and because it's that confidential, they say we're making an immersive technology bit of kit, but we're not going to tell you anything about it. But when we release it, we want content for it, and we want you to know what you're doing with it, which has always been the case. But I love that side of things. I love double guessing technology and trying to figure it out. It's really exciting times with PlayStation VR. The rules are coming out fast and furious, but they're not necessarily right rules. If you put yourself back to the dawn of television, editors had to learn their rules, all the stuff that you're learning now on how to make a TV show or film, games, those rules, that rule book's really small at the moment. So we're looking at that, what are the possibilities, what's going to work on that. That stuff gets me really excited. So I'm going to quickly talk to you now. That's the games, that's what we do, how we do it, where we've been. This is how I got into doing what I do. So I finished university. I got a 2-2 on a course that I didn't need qualifications to get in. I had, at that point, I knew I loved music. I knew I loved visual arts. I had no idea how to get a job in it. And I'm guessing a lot of you guys will be in the same position I was in at that point. I had a friend who was a journalist, and he'd gone to work for a company called Rapture Television, which would be, if any of you have heard of it, I'll be impressed. It was based in Anglia Television. He said, come down, sleep on my floor, turn up at work with me each day and see what you like. The company was going into administration, so there was like a 3-month time period. I turned up and I went, I shadowed the camera guys, I shadowed the audio guys. I really liked the editing. I hung around for a couple of weeks for nothing. Thinking back, I don't really know how I afforded to do it. A job come up, and it was a job that no one wanted. It was the graveyard shift, and my job was to transmit, not physically transmit, I'm not an antennae. My job was to hit a button on the beta the tape deck downstairs, and then I had 3 minutes to run across the post office, the old post office building, which was a big old building, up to the attic. And to do that, I had to run down a corridor with, have you heard of Tricia? Anyone remember Tricia? I had to run down a corridor, and it had like 6-foot face shots of Tricia. It was her studio, and it was pitch black. It was like Scooby-Doo. Her eyes were following me. I used to hate it. Up into the attic, and I had to hit transmit. That was my job, hit 2 buttons, and I had to work from 10 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning. That's pretty boring. So what I said to them was, I'll do that, but you've got to let me learn to edit. And they're like, fine. So that's where I sat, and that's where I decided to learn to edit. I then moved on to shop as the company folded. It didn't fold because of me. It was already going into administration. I then moved on to shop, which I would say Granada and BBC. I mean, BBC, if you get the BBC, that's the pinnacle, right? That's worldwide recognised. And Granada, to be honest, for me, was brilliant. It was an education. They taught me my trade. They taught me everything I knew at Granada, and I met a lot of good friends and work colleagues that I'd know for the rest of my life. Shop also, there's a bit of a pattern emerging here. It was nothing to do with me. Shop also went into administration, at which point I did a bit of freelance work. It was short-lived freelance. I think you guys, when you all qualify and do what you do, you live in a different time to what I lived in 10 years ago. Freelance wasn't the culture it is today. The industry is based on freelancers now. When I was going freelance, it was cutthroat. You had to fight for that work. So I had a tough couple of months freelancing, although I learned a lot and I enjoyed it. And I got a job at Daytel, which was a corporate company that make cheap devices for games. I learned a lot there, but I didn't really get the management. I didn't agree with how the company was run, and it didn't take me long to go to PlayStation. Now, there is a lesson here with PlayStation. I don't know how many of you know Pero Landra. Yeah. So Perry was, what was your job title at shop?
I was a channel editor.
Channel editor at shop. So she was far senior to what I was at shop. And I always work hard, be easy, be amiable, just get on with people. I walked into that interview at PlayStation and he was sitting there to interview me, Perry Landra. If I'd have been nasty to Perry or done anything earlier on, I wouldn't have got that job. So I think, you know, if there's one thing to take away from there, just be nice to everyone in the film industry because it's a small place. It doesn't mean you have to like everyone, just be nice to everyone. So that's how I ended up in PlayStation. I've been there now, 11 years and it's slowly gone through and I now head up the department. What do we look for when we're, I just need to read what's on the slide, it's easy. What does the CSG look for in potential employees? Skills are important. What you're learning here skill-wise is important. What's more important to me is passion, personality, being a good team player, your willingness to learn. Because the reality is like, if you're creative, you can learn the tools that will help you along with that. If you're into administration and you're more technical, you can learn the tools that does that. But the stuff that's really important when you're working in a company like Sony, which is, I couldn't even guess at how many people it employs, is that you're a team player and we all work together. The world's becoming smaller. We all need to work together to bring innovation on. So that's what I would say to you guys is, if I look at the team that I've got currently in Sony, I would say over half of those guys have come to me through work experience or through freelance, and the people who I've liked working with, and when a job opportunities have arisen, I've gone straight to those guys and said, come and work with us. I think you guys, where you're at now, 2 bits of advice. Where you're at now, like I say, you're in a different era to where I was at 10 years ago. If I wanted to edit in my bedroom 10 years ago, I would have had to have paid £250,000 on an edit suite. And before that, I would have needed chopping desks and all sorts of stuff. You guys have got it at your hands. Apple's changed that model for you. All you need to do is get there and practice. And you can be pulling together show reels or producing, or you can go out and running for companies and freelance work. You can be doing all that stuff now in line with your studies and pulling that together. And then when you come out of university, you've already got that weight in there. You can go straight into freelance work and you'll be, as long as you've got what it takes and the companies recognise that, you'll be employable. Use that, use your bedrooms or wherever it is, a place that you pull together your edits or your work, use that. That's an opportunity enough. And then the other thing is, I think the games industry is massively seen as a male-dominated culture. And as I'm trying to explain to you guys, I don't even own, I shouldn't say this, I do own a games console. It's not about that, it's about creativity, it's about great ideas, it's about, what we're making it's about the ideas, and then you leave the programmers, the guys who program and make the games, to make them into a game. It's a small industry, we're getting smaller, everyone's welcome. That would be my piece of advice. I don't know what they are. But let me see, I might have wrote them down here more concise. Be nice to everyone and use that gift of consumerism that allows you guys to edit and learn your skills a lot better, more efficiently than I did when I was at university. So, sorry, got a bit waffly towards the end, but thanks for your time. I'm going to be around for question and answers after, and I'll hang around a while after that. If anyone wants to come up to me, I'm around. Tim Rowe, Head of Video Motion Graphics. Thank you.